How's training camp been going for you? You guys have 2 days now, full pads. What's this experience been like?
It's been hot, for sure. You know, my wife was just telling me that there's fans falling out in the stands, and they're on stretchers, and they're like "Go Bills" on the way out. So, no, if that explains anything about training camp, it's that it's really hot, but very competitive, and we're getting to it.
How would you describe how you've been able to build your connection with Josh Allen so far?
I would describe it as us having to be consistent with the connection. In terms of after every play, I'm going to him and I'm saying, "Is that where you wanted me to be, or is that where you wanted?" Yeah, yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. And asking for feedback, especially after practice, asking him what routes he wants to run, where does he see me coming out of this break, and just a lot of reps and doing it over and over and over again.
Part of it also getting feedback from the other receivers in the receiving room.
In terms of what my connection with Josh.
No. Just your routes. Like after like the first couple practices, you were walking off. You guys were doing extra work. Is that part of building that connection as a receiver room? Just the receivers giving you additional pointers.
Yeah, because they've been in the offense for a longer period of time than I have, so they know how the route's supposed to look. So then they can share with me how I'm supposed to get out, where Josh is throwing it, and that type of stuff.
How much of a mindset thing is that for you? I mean, just being in this offense for the first year, knowing I'm going to connect with Josh after every route I run, we're going to do stuff off the field. That's a big workload. How do you kind of compartmentalize everything to make sure you're in the place you need to be?
Well, I run the route how I think I'm supposed to run it, and I just run it fast, without thinking. So it makes it black and white for him, because if I'm hesitating, then he's hesitating. So that's how I normally come into it, is I'm going to run it how I think it's supposed to look, and if it needs to change, he would tell me. And if not, if he says it was good, then I continue to run it that way.
Joe Brady told us this morning that one thing that stood out about you is the level of detail and attention you kind of were when you're working with Josh after practice of the route and how it's supposed to be. And he said sometimes, he's like, I got to remind Josh that I just need you to go out and play football. But your attention to that specific details of everything, why is that so important to you? And how has that just kind of been maybe a staple of your game throughout your career?
Yeah, I've heard it a lot. Sometimes I think a little bit too much. It could be a weakness, but it's also a strength just because I want to be right. I don't like losing. So I, at times, overthink myself into a loss because I'm thinking about all the other outcomes and what I could have done, what I should have done, what I will do, what I won't do, and a whole bunch of different outcomes in my mind. But I've really just been trying to emphasize just playing, like just run hard and run fast, get out the break, catch the ball, and we'll watch the film, and if it needs to be fixed, then we'll fix it. But I win more reps when I'm not thinking, so that's just what I'm going to continue to do.
You guys are spending a lot of time together at training camp here. What have you learned about Joe Brady as an offensive coordinator as you begin to put this offense together?
He's very competitive. You see whenever we do one-on-ones or whenever we do team drills or 7-on-7, he's always the first one there to congratulate guys or talk trash to the defense, or he's always talking about how he hates to lose, but also understanding that we are installing a defense. I mean, we are installing an offense. So of course, some things are going to be scripted for the defense, some things are going to be scripted for us. So it's not getting too concerned with the loss if there is a loss, because it's easy to play defense when you know what the play is. That might be me right now, just being a little smart to the defense. But no, it's good though.
How do you feel like maybe your progression accelerates once the pads come on these past 2 days, whether it be communication or getting to the spots you want to on the field? How does your progression maybe change from the first few days not in pads to these past 2 days?
For the receiver position, it's almost the same. The biggest difference is blocking, because now you can actually block the defender. In terms of just the passing game, it's just a little bit more physical because they can put their hands on you. But with pads or no pads, shells, no shells, we still need to get to the spot regardless, run the route regardless. Just have to up the intensity of the physicality. That's just the only, I wouldn't even say downfall, it's just the only thing that you have to prepare for, and after you go a whole off season of not being in pads. You know, you have to get used to being in pads, getting hit, getting grabbed, and then just build the callus for the season.
Talk about the intensity and physicality going up against guys like Taryn and Christian Benford who bring that to the table every day. What's that been like?
You just have to remind yourself to lower your shoulder. You know, some of those guys are coming to hit hard, and you know you don't want to absorb it, but you also don't want to get got as well. So it's just finding that balance, reminding yourself, okay, yeah, I have to lower my pads, don't duck my head. Small mistakes that you make sometimes when you just put the pads back on, you just don't want to lose, so you do whatever you can to not lose. But then slowly you get back into the fundamentals with having pads on.
Working right now on building your offensive identity. What vibe are you getting from this offense as a whole?
Everybody eats. You know, it's a big thing that Joe emphasizes, and you see it a lot, especially in practice. Some guys go off in practice, then another guy will go off in a different practice, another guy will go off in a different practice, and you would have thought that it would have been someone else's day, but you really don't know. You really don't know how your route is going to affect the play. You don't really know if you're even going to get the ball. You might be the last read and still might get the ball. So, if anything, with this offense, you just have to be ready at all times, especially with Josh, because he'll throw it to anybody, and he can get it there.
Joshua, what do you need to accomplish to be the greatest athlete to come out of Brampton?
I don't know. I feel like it's a good question.
You got a tough score to beat. Loaded question. I was asking for fun. I was leading into what's it been like to be so close to home, and now that you've been here for a few months and had the ability to enjoy being as close to Brampton as you can get here.
I think it's going to be fun just because a lot of my family is still obviously in Toronto. So even though they came to all of my games in the West Coast, it's going to be a lot easier for them to travel. So with ease comes more family coming to games. And then also a lot of people that haven't been to my games will be able to come now because they couldn't travel that far. But I just want to be a good representative of my country and where I'm from, my religion. You know, in terms of accomplishments, you know, some people can think about it all day and let it get in their heads and feel like they need to reach certain limits in order to be, I guess, accepted among the masses. But I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it for a much higher purpose. To where, yeah, you can catch for 1,000 yards, but it all depends on it. To me, it all comes down to the type of person you are. You know, even with success that you get in this league, some people turn into, excuse my French, but like scumbags, and that's not something that I definitely want to be. I want to be a good representative of my family, my country, my religion, my team, and inshallah, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. But of course, you want to chase those accolades of being 1,000 yards and doing these things, but it'll come in time, and if it's supposed to happen, it's supposed to happen. If it's not, I'm going to give it my best shot and find out.
Wayne Gretzky gives a high bar to beat. Right? You need to win about 8 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
About 150 touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, good thing I don't play hockey, so.
What struck you about Josh Allen's leadership?
The way he's able to bounce back. You know, whenever I see a quarterback throw a pick, I always like to look at how they react. Because you get a good judge on somebody when things go wrong. And he'll take chances. He'll throw a pick and be like, all right, whatever. And it's almost like, oh, I thought he was gonna get more upset. But, you know, you got to take the shots. And if it doesn't work out, then that's why we have a good defense. But, you know, he's a risk taker. And when things go wrong, he's able to just shake it off and act like it never happened. So, you know, I'm trying to worry myself on him so I can get some of that as well.
What have you noticed out of Keon so far this training camp, and just what stood out to you about his play through his first 6 practices?
Yeah, he's very strong. He can come in out of his breaks. He's very elusive. He can change directions, makes the DBs think that he's going one way, comes out the other way. He's very exciting to watch just because of the plays that he can make. It's just seeing him do it on a consistent level. And so far, since I've been here, he's been pretty consistent. I mean, it's just I know it's year 2 for him, so I'm still getting to learn him as a person mainly. You know, I can see what he does as a player, so just trying to get to know him as a person and see, you know, how I can help in any way that I can, really. I know I've been in the league a lot longer, so not a lot longer, but like a few years. But, you know, these young guys coming out, you know, you just try to help them in any way that you can if they want the help.